Welcome back to At the Barn, where we discuss impactful testimonies from influential people. This is your host, Isabella Kakady, and today's episode is the beginning of Boots and Bibles, and this is one of the 3 segments of my podcast. Today we have Ava Tobiason.
Hello.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Ava's my best friend in the whole world, and we decided that I wanted my podcast to be split into 3 different segments. So the first one is Boots and Bibles, and this is where we discuss how to navigate the college experience while staying true to yourself and your faith. Ava and I came up with this idea a while ago, actually. It was about a year ago. We were just talking, and so many people tell us, you guys should make a podcast, like we'd so listen, and we were like, oh, that'd be so cool. And we were talking about different names we would do and how much we love Girls Gone Bible, and we were like, what other word starts with the letter B? And we were like saying
we were just
Boots
like
in the barn, or like
the
barn Bible. I don't even know, but we ended up coming up with Boots and Bibles, and we loved it, and we wrote it down. But
I actually found it in my notes like a month ago. Actually, I was like,
it was from like a year ago. And we were never actually considering doing a podcast. It was kind of just a fun idea just to talk about. We were like, oh, like maybe in the future when we're older, we'll make our own podcasts and just talk about our faith. But
like when we have time,
here we are. So it's just so funny because it wasn't planned at all. No, but Ava and I love to talk, for sure. And people always come to us, like we're the friends that they come to us for advice. And we always give advice on our faith or on health, like what food options are the best, and relationship advice, friendship advice. Because we've been friends for a while now. We've been friends since sophomore year of high school. And now we're both freshmen in college at Belmont. We're both roommates. And believe it or not, we actually have all the exact same classes. That's how much we love to be with each other.
Every single class. It's great though. It really is great. It makes it easier. It just does. Like having like a partner wherever you go.
And I think it's so important in college to have a good friend. 100%. I don't think it's as important to have like tons of friends, but to have like at least one good friend who you stick with is so important, because they'll hold you accountable to your faith, and just if you both have the same morals, the same values, it makes everything just easier. Yeah. And it's so easy nowadays, like especially in college, to get tempted by other people. Oh my gosh. And like it says in the Bible, bad company corrupts good morals. So no matter how good you think your morals are, surrounding yourself with the wrong people, just not the way to go. No. My dad always says, like, you're a product of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and we definitely live by that. First, we want to talk about how our friendship started, how we met each other, and then we want to get into our testimonies, just like a simplified version. But first, I want to ask Ava to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm 19 years old. I was born in Chicago, Illinois, and moved to Mark Island, Florida when I was about 6 years old. Lived there until, this year. So it was pretty crazy, just like the transition of weather especially, and just leaving my family was a big change. You guys already know a lot about my testimony, but we just want to talk about how we became friends and how that led to our testimonies. So I was born in upstate New York, Saratoga Springs, and I grew up there, and as I said before in my last video, I was Catholic, and we only went to church like on holidays, and I grew up there. And then the summer before sophomore year of high school, my family relocated to Marco Island, Florida. And at the time, it felt like the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I became like extremely depressed, anxious. I just had like the worst year of my life, but it was my own choice. But the one good thing, I always say this, is like my favorite part of the whole thing was meeting Ava, and that was worth it all. Like, I would go through it all again just to meet her again. And I truly believe that the sole reason that we moved to Marco Island was to meet Ava. I've said that to so many people now, but I honestly believe that with my whole heart. And when I moved there, I was just depressed. I'm gonna be honest. It was really hard. Like, it was really hard for me. And the first day of orientation, so my summer got cut short, actually. My parents were like, we're moving to Florida and you're starting school in 3 days, and I was supposed to have a whole nother month of summer, so I was like freaking out. We only packed our clothes, nothing else, and we just moved. And so I went to orientation, and I just had like the worst attitude ever. I did not want to be there. I wanted to be at home having summer, and
Ava was like one of the first people I met, actually.
Yeah.
I like walked into our leadership class.
Yep.
And I met her, and she was smiling so big, and she told me she liked my hair or my pants or something.
It was either your hair, your shirt, I don't know. I think I just went up to you.
And I just remember thinking, this is the most genuine person I've ever met in my life. Like, I've never met somebody so sweet and so genuine. So I was like, maybe this will be okay. And then flash forward, we ended up becoming best friends and
roommates.
Yeah, getting so close. But you want to tell your version of the meeting?
So I grew up until like last year. I grew up Catholic Lutheran. So my dad was Lutheran, I was baptized Lutheran, my mom was Catholic. We would go to Christmas services at a Catholic church, sometimes at the Lutheran church. Just holidays we'd go. It was never really set which religion I was in, because we'd go to Catholic with my grandpa and then sometimes Lutheran, so it was just a whole mix-up. And just moving to Florida from that point on, when I was 6 years old, I never really had a great example of a good friend. For years, I was like stuck in these toxic friendships until it was like sophomore year of high school, and I met Bella, and she completely changed my perspective on everything. Like, she's just been such a great example of what a good friend is, like someone that you can lean on, someone that you can trust, someone that you can tell like anything and everything to. So I feel like that's what really just pushed me to my faith too, just having that role model. It's just been such a life changer.
I love you. But it's like we were both going through kind of a difficult time.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were both kind of lost. We weren't pursuing our faith at all. Like, no, we really weren't. We were far from.
I had the mindset of, you're a good person. You believe in Jesus, you believe in God, whatever, you're going to heaven. Like, that was my mindset.
We both kind of thought, like, if you believe in Jesus, like, you're good. Like, you're going to heaven. Like, if you're a good person, which there's no such thing as a good person. Only Jesus is good. But we were just kind of, we were secular. We were lukewarm. Yeah. And we met and we became friends. And honestly, as much as, like, we were a good influence on each other, like, I influenced her to read a lot, and we helped each other with homework. We did like group projects together. We started working out together. We just did everything together, and we were good influences on each other. But I feel like we also influenced each other in a bad way, because we started going just like down the worldly path that I was going down in New York, and drinking, partying, being with the wrong people, just everything that goes against our faith. And we'd always think, like, in the back of our mind, like, this is not what we're meant to be doing. We'd even talk about it sometimes. We'd be like, this just feels wrong. This doesn't feel like us. But so then, like what I talked about in the last episode, when I had that coming to Jesus moment where I was like really convicted of all my sins, and I was like turning to Jesus, but I was feeling shame and guilt, I was texting Ava about it, and I was like, I was telling her everything, like how I felt, and
that conviction.
And then like later she was like, oh, like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I'll pray for you. But then later on, once like the guilt like felt like it had been lifted, we would talk about it, and I'd be like, I just feel such a pull towards Jesus right now. Like, I just feel like I'm supposed to be telling the whole world about him. Like, I feel like I want such a strong relationship with him. And it just came out of nowhere. Like, it felt like I was just so changed. And she was like, I'm feeling that pull too. And so we were both like feeling like Jesus is calling us right now. And we started telling all our friends and family, and it's funny because even like my brothers were feeling the same pull, my parents, like we all at the same time. It was almost like a Jesus revolution in like my family and Ava.
My mom too. That was like when she really started pursuing God. I think that moment when I hit it, or like when I really felt it, my dad was in a really bad place. He was having emergency surgery right at the moment, and then you started texting me. We text back and forth, and we're like both like, oh my gosh, we have this pull to like know Jesus, and like pursue him.
We were like mind blown. We were like, how are we all feeling this at the same time?
I literally remember like in the car, and I was texting, we're all like, how do we feel this at the same time? This is so like mind blowing. I don't even know.
And so Ava and I decided, well, first of all, we decided we wanted to, out of nowhere too, how we wanted to make the Good News group. And that was what I talked about in my last episode too. But it's a Bible study group of just girls at our high school. And I remember like our school already had a Christian-based club, but for some reason I was like, I want to make my own, and I want it to be just girls, and I want Ava to be the co-creator or whatever you call it. And it was so much fun. And we just like took a leap of faith and And we decided to do that because we've never done anything like that before. And it was a little scary. I mean, I didn't get plugged into the school at all before that because I didn't want to be there. So it was just like, I randomly asked, can I start a club? And I think everybody was a little shocked. Yeah. But it was so much fun. It was a great experience for us to lead did a something. Lot too. It was our first time leading anything. Yeah. So. And it was a lot of fun. We did beach Bible studies. Yeah, we did at sunset. We decorated for our Bibles, the little bookmarks. Oh yeah, we made bookmarks. Yeah. We just got really close to a bunch of girls. Just like through Christ. We got really close really fast too. And we realized just how much we wanted to be like a part of a community and how important it is to have a Christ-centered community. So then we weren't going to, the whole time I was in Florida, I didn't go to church at all. Like we didn't have a church there. No. We couldn't find one that we liked. And Ava, I don't even remember, like you texted me. Yeah, my mom tried out this church one day, CCN, Christ Community in Naples. And did I text you? And yeah, you were like, I think we're gonna go this weekend. Like, do you want to go too? And I was like, yes. Like, we need a church. And everybody in our school went to that church, so we'd heard so much about it. And I had actually been there when I first moved, but it completely slipped my mind because I was like, when I was there, I did not want to be there, so I didn't even remember it. But we plugged in right away, and it was just so many kids from our school, and we just made so many good friends, and we realized just how different it is when you surround yourself with people who have the same faith as you, because like it just makes everything easier. Like your conversations are better. And I feel like we really gravitated towards those people at church too. And then it was nice to have mentors. Like we had a small group with the leader's name is Jasmine. And hi Jasmine. Kyle is our youth pastor. And it was so nice to plug in. It's such a different feeling when you go to church and you're part of a community than if you just attend every Sunday. Like, and we made it like a thing. We'd go every Wednesday. We'd make a little trip, like us and our brothers, and it was so much fun. We had such a great time. And we played games and then do like a little message. I got into children's ministry, which was cool. We both got our own Bibles, and we were reading all the time, sending each other passages. We started the Jesus Calling devotional, and I started to like send it to all my friends like every morning, and I still do that. It's been like 2 years now of me sending them to people. And during that time when Bella was like reading me the Bible on the beach, or like when we were like going to bed and we'd have sleepovers and she'd read the Bible until I fell asleep. That was really sweet of you, actually. I didn't feel as much of like, I had that pull, like I knew like Christ was telling me like, you know, follow me, but I feel like I totally like didn't listen as much as I should have. Like I would go to church, I went to Wednesday like youth groups, I would read the Bible, but in the back of my mind I still like wasn't fully like immersed. Like I wasn't fully, I guess, ready at the time. As we were getting closer in our faith, I could tell that Bella was ahead of me. Not ahead of me, but like it felt like that for me, and I kind of felt not discouraged, but I just wanted to be there. Like I wanted what she had. I wanted like to be on fire for the Lord like she was. And we're all in our own timelines. Like we can't have what each other, like we can't have what everybody's timing's different. Yeah, everybody's timing's different. We can't like rush our time with God, and we talk about that a lot too, but everybody's timeline is different, and we can't compare ourselves to other people because it's so easy to look at someone else and be like, oh, look, like they're a pastor, or their podcast is like taking off, or look how close they are to Jesus, like they're speaking in tongues, but everybody's timeline is different, and we just have to trust in God's timing, because he knows what's best for us, and we're glad that he's a patient God, because we want him to take a long time for some things. If we got everything we wanted like that fast, then we would not be in a good place. We're so thankful that God knows the deepest desires of our hearts, and he doesn't know just what we want. He knows what we need. He knows our needs. And he definitely knew that we needed each other. Oh, yeah. That's my biggest blessing, is our friendship, for sure. Really, this year, we've seen it, too, that the devil is just trying to rip us apart in so many ways. And we're just not letting them. Oh, we should talk about college. So when I talked about this in my last episode, too. When I started freaking out about college, didn't know where I wanted to go, I started getting really stressed. Like, every single day, I would, like, tear myself apart, just working on college applications, trying to get my essay, trying to decide where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And Ava wasn't, like, kind of a similar boat. She doesn't get as stressed as I get. She was kind of like, whatever happens. But I was like, my stress was rubbing off on her a little bit, and we were like cramming our SATs and everything. But tell them like where you wanted to go originally, or where you thought you were going to go.
I originally thought I was going to Florida Atlantic University in Boca in Florida. I just knew for so long, I was like, I'm supposed to go to Florida. Like I didn't want to go to school in Florida, but I knew like that was my only choice. For some reason, I thought that was my only choice. But in the back of my head, since I was like a little girl, I wanted to go to the University of Tennessee. I don't even know why. It was just like my dream school. I loved their football team too. Like it was just
Morgan Wallen.
I don't know, everything about it. I was like, I'm going there, but I knew Florida was like my only choice. And then Bella wanted to go to Belmont all of a sudden. Well,
I toured with my brother because he was touring, and I was like, Ava, I can see us going here.
Yeah.
And she's like, toured. Oh, it would never happen. Oh, you came. You came. April, like 2022. And we were like, oh, we can see ourselves going here.
Yeah.
But we were like,
it's so
she was like, it's never going to happen. Like,
never. My dad won't allow it. Like, trust me, my dad. And then all of a sudden.
Well, it took it up until like,
oh my gosh,
you committed before. She was between Lipscomb and Belmont. She did not know which one she wanted, and I was already committed to Belmont, and I was like, I know she's going to Belmont, and she's like, she knew. I don't think so. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen.
It was like a whole month of me just stressing about it, and I totally just gave it to God. I'm like, God, like, you know where I'm supposed to go. Just tell me. And one day I woke up and it was like Belmont. I knew I was going to Belmont. It was just the craziest experience because I had no doubt about it. Like, there was no doubt in me that I knew I was going to Belmont. It was crazy. Because I really thought it was going to Lipscomb. I was like totally set on it too. And I was like, well, Belmont. And
then fast forward, like, I moved here, and then she comes and we go and move in day. We're roommates, like, biggest blessing ever.
Yeah.
And everybody always tells us, they're like, don't you get sick of each other? Or like, how do you guys not have a falling out, like being together all the time? And it's like, yes, the enemy definitely attacks us. He tries to come in between us, but God has like shown us that we're stronger when we're together.
Yeah.
And we've really realized that a lot this year so far, because, well, this whole school year. But,
this whole school year.
The year just started. But he's shown us in so many ways that like we're supposed to stick together. Yeah. In the beginning, when we first started this semester, the devil was really trying to come in between us. Like, he would make us so annoyed with each other. And Ava and I have never gotten to a single fight in our entire friendship. Not one fight.
We always laugh about that.
How long has
it
it been? 3 years of friendship?
Yeah, almost 4. We always laugh about it.
Never once have we gotten to one fight. We've disagreed. Obviously, everybody disagrees, but we've never fought. We've never had like any falling out. We've never like ignored each other.
I need alone time. Like, I don't want to be around her. I've never been like,
I'm not in the mood to hang out with Ava. All the time, I'm like, I've never been like, oh, I need alone time, I can't be with Ava.
Yeah.
But then college hits and we think that it's going to be the same way.
Yeah.
And like, it started off just fine, but then
sleepovers.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden the devil was just like, he was coming between us. We'd be doing our devotionals, mad at each other in the morning, not talk to each other. Like, we'd be praying,
going walks.
We'd just be always like moody, but we didn't understand why. And I was thinking, I just need alone time. Like, Ava's always there. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I can't escape. And then all of a sudden, I was talking to my younger brother Joey, and he was like, Bella, like, that's the devil. He's trying to come between you and Ava. And I was like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh my gosh, wait, I didn't even think of that. And then we went to the Merge, which is worship in a barn. It's so cool. It's like a bunch of young adults just worshiping together in a barn.
Yeah.
And Ava and I were worshiping, and then I turned to her and they were like telling us to pray, and I was like, Ava, like, you know what I've been realizing is all this stuff we're going through, it's literally the enemy trying to get between us. He knows how strong we are together.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, before this, Ava and I were both really trying to figure out what our callings were. We were praying all the time, like, God, show us our callings, show us our gifts, like, show us. And we were too focused on the calling, and we should have been focused on the caller, Jesus. But our gaze was fixed on gifts and callings instead of Jesus, our Savior. We should have been thinking about him. But anyways, we would both be praying, like, her bed is over here, mine's over here. We're praying alone, like, in our heads at the same time, like, on different ends of the room, both asking God, reveal yourself to us, like, show yourself to us, we want to see your face. And this whole time I kept asking God, give me a sign, like give me signs, tell me, show me what you want me to think. And he gave me like a little vision, and it was like us holding hands, sitting on the carpet in our dorm and praying together. And I was like, I don't want to pray with her. I'm not feeling our friendship right now. Like, I don't really feel like praying together. Like, I want my own alone time. And then
you kept ignoring it
to the merge. And no, I kept asking for a sign, but I was ignoring it. And then at the merge, I turned to her and I was saying, like, God's been showing me that we need to be praying together. Like, we're supposed to be doing everything together. That's why we're roommates. That's why we're friends. Like, obviously everybody's supposed to have their own relationship with Christ, and it shouldn't be like our relationship with Christ, but he really
definitely
wanted us,
do have different relationships,
but he wanted us to work together, and that's what we were missing. And from then on, our relationship was like crazy different. Like, we have never been that spiritually connected ever. We started praying together. The first time we did it, it was like a spiritual awakening. Like, we prayed really on the carpet, just like I saw like in the vision, and
so many things happened after that moment too, that just like woke us up.
It woke us. Our eyes were like opened to so many different things,
and we had many spiritual encounters too. Like, Jesus was just like working. He was working through us,
and I was like, this is what we were missing the whole time. And like, we've gotten bits and pieces of like our callings since then. And I mean, I got told to start the podcast like soon after. Like, it's crazy when you obey. Like, now I'm just like, I want to be obedient all the time. So
every night when we're in a dorm, we're like laying across and praying to God out loud
now. And we do it in our devotionals in the morning. We do them together, and we worship together. We talk about
everything too. We do talk about everything. And one thing I will say, this in the beginning also, we were so envious of each other. The stupidest things. We were never envious about each other.
We've never been jealous of each other ever.
Never. And then, what was it? Oh, we just started telling each other, like confessing, like.
Once we started confessing all of the feelings, I was like, oh, I was jealous about this. And then she was like, oh, I was jealous about this. And when we said it out loud, it started sounding so silly.
Like,
and we were like, what were we even thinking?
What?
Like, so then that's been like our new thing. Like, one of our words for the year is like confess. And when you get all these feelings pent up inside that the devil's giving you, like all these negative feelings, they start to add up, and you start to loop, and they start to become bigger than they are. And so if you just say it out loud, like to that person, you start to realize just how silly it was, and like, and it wasn't so much better. It wasn't what you were actually thinking, and you're like, oh, what am I talking about? I'm not jealous of you. Like, I love you. I'm
right.
Like, what? But it's so true, like how the devil tries to come in between you. And we always have to remember, hate the sin, not the person. And when you start to realize that, like, if I'm acting like a certain way, like, it's not like, you don't hate like you wouldn't get mad at me, you'd get mad at like we're a team. We're supposed to fight the battle together. It's us against sin. It's us against the enemy. It's not us against each other.
Exactly.
And that's so important, like with any relationship in your life. Like, it's always you guys against the problem. It's not you against each other.
I love that.
Me too.
So good. Once you look at it at that perspective, it
changes everything.
It does change everything,
because we're supposed to love our neighbor as ourselves. And if I'm loving you how I want to be loved, then obviously I wouldn't get mad at you for that kind of thing. Like,
we would get mad at each other for the stupidest things. Actually,
like, really, I don't know, but it's a different ball game when you become roommates with someone and you're living with another person. Like, it is different. Like,
I didn't think it was going to be different,
because we would have sleepovers like every day.
We would spend so much time with each other. And then, the summer we didn't spend any time with each other. You were here, I was in Florida, and we moved in together. We were so excited, and then things just took a turn.
But then they took a turn for the better.
For the
way better. And since then, our relationship has been so good. And sometimes the devil will still try to do the same thing, but we'll just like notice it right away. We'll be like, what you trying to do here? Like,
we'll see it.
We notice that like sometimes all you need to do is pray. And when we're feeling anything like that, this like right after we pray, like instant peace just comes over me. Like, I feel like we're stronger together. Like, literally, like when I went on break and I was alone, like I was like, God, where are you at? Like, when I was with Ava, like,
yes. And then we get back to our dorm and we're like, wow.
And we're like, wow, God's moving.
Because we're back to our like sitting down and praying with each other and friendship goals.
We wrote out like our friendship goals for the new year, and we prayed over them, and we were like, like, God, if you want to change any of these, change them. If you want to add anything, and we've been sticking to them pretty good.
Yeah. Not even knowing it too.
Yeah.
Like even before, when she had the list, we were like, oh, we did that today. Yeah, we did that. So,
but even that, like, I think it's so important to have goals for your friendship and for every single relationship and for yourself. But like, because my goals with you are different than my goals for myself. So yeah, it's important.
It is important.
Well, one of the verses that we love is, I don't remember which verse it is, but it's like 2 are better than 1.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's a different one, but that one too. That's like, that was like our first one. It was like iron sharpens iron.
The one we were just talking about yesterday.
Yeah, 2 are better than 1.
2 are better than 1.
And then there's like a bunch
and then
after that,
like,
but it's like so describes us. Yeah. And when you pray with 2 or more people, it will be done. Yeah. But we've really noticed God really moves mountains, and when we're praying together, it's like,
when we surrender like everything to him, and we ask him and we seek him, he answers our prayers. Like he answers all of our prayers, of course, but it feels like heightened or something.
Well, we just, because we're being obedient. He told us to seek him together. And so when we're obeying what God's asking us to do, like, it's so cool.
It is really.
But in college, we've really made sure to pursue a Christian lifestyle. So Belmont is a Christian college, which was one of our main, like, priorities. And
private, small.
Great. We like small school, and we're not really city girls, but Nashville's really close to Franklin, and we're
this
like
is like our
girls.
little escape. Farm girls.
Well, we're more country than we are a city.
Let's talk about what Bella used to be. Bella used to be a city girl, and she hated country music, and she made fun of me for wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
I really did.
And would
and
make
then
fun
flash
of me.
forward, I'm wearing cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
And what is this podcast called?
Boots and Bibles.
Yes, exactly. At the barn. So
funny.
That's always funny.
We've changed each other so many ways.
Many ways.
We're completely different people now.
And thank goodness. We're so grateful. We're so grateful.
But anyways, when we first came to college, our first priority was find a church, find small groups, get plugged in, and get the right kind of friends. And right off the bat, we already started like getting insecure about friendships. Like we were like, we saw other people posting online. We were like, they all have this great friend group, and like, where's ours, God? Like, we just want good Christian friends. Like, we're at a Christian school, where are they? And the moment we like surrendered it to God, and we were like, God, you give us whatever friends you want us to have, whenever you want us to have. We stopped looking for friends, and then all of a sudden, this amazing friend group. Like, we have the best friend group ever. Like,
we're so blessed.
We really are.
Margaret in our what was it? It was like the first.
It was like orientation, but not. It was like walkthrough of our classes.
Yeah, and she was the only other girl in our major.
Yeah, our major was so small.
Freshmen.
That's another thing. We take communications, and Belmont is big on like music, media, and we were like, there's nobody in our major. Are we in the right major? And then we see Margaret, and funny story, I actually followed her on Instagram before I even went to Belmont, and she would post like, we copied her senior pictures, like her Belmont pictures. I had her in my camera roll, and I was like, I know that girl. We're gonna be friends with her. But that's like where it all started. And we met all these girls, and we've just, every time we hang out, I'm like in awe, because never in my life have I had a friend group where everybody's Christian, everybody's like-minded, we have the same values, and we all pray together before meals, and we just talk about like our discussions are so much deeper and so real. And it's like when you're talking to someone who is an unbeliever, you can't reach that same level of intimacy. And just having that many girls like all at once that all share your faith is just so crazy. Like the hangouts are just so different, and they're so pure, and there's nothing that you regret, there's nothing that you like, nothing worldly about it. And we just love that so much,
and we all agree with everything too. Like we're all in the same same boat. Well, it's great.
And we lift each other up, and like, as you're supposed to encourage one another in Christ, and it's so cool to just have people that have your back, and like anytime you start to fall, like they lift you up and point you towards Jesus. And that's so different than like worldly friends. If you ask a worldly friend for advice, like they're not going to point you towards Jesus, obviously. And
I loved even when you started your podcast and she sent it to the group chat,
and I was so like felt so like much doubt and so much fear about posting the podcast, because the enemy was just attacking me. He didn't want me to post it, and I sent it to my friends, and they were like the first people. It was Margaret and Cameron were the first people I sent it to, and I was so nervous, and they like just were so encouraging, and I literally almost cried. I was like, so much better. And it just helps to have people supporting you, and obviously other people's approval is not necessary. Like only God's approval is necessary, but to have these people that point you towards God and encourage you is so so meaningful. And like for anybody that is starting college, like there are Christian friends out there. There are people that will lift you up and will encourage you and will point you towards God. Don't settle. Because if we had settled for people that were more worldly, we wouldn't be where we are right now. And the second you surrender it and you're like, God, you give me who you want me to be friends with, like, you tell me, it makes such a difference.
It does.
Because I feel so bad. I know so many people who are in college right now and they're struggling and they feel like they need to join a sorority or go out and party to make friends, and they're like, I'm the only one not partying, I'm the only one not drinking, but nobody's gonna like me, nobody's gonna be my friend if I don't do these things. And it's not true. It may feel like that in the moment, but that's what the enemy wants you to think. He wants you to think you're alone. He wants you to think you're the only one that is following your faith, but it's not true. There are people out there and God will bring them to you.
The devil wants you to think like going out and going partying and going to the club and drinking is all normal. Like he wants you to think that's normal because you're in college.
The world makes it look normal, but we're called to be set apart from the world, and we're not supposed to look like the world. We're not supposed to fit in with the world. So like but people don't realize that, and that's why we started this podcast. Actually, we want to talk about everything that college people go through on the daily, and like when you're looking for a college and all the important things like that. Because when we were looking for a college and when we started college, we didn't have anybody to give us this advice, and so we figured it out like all on our own. Well, God helped us, but like we figured it out ourselves. And I just feel like so many people, like nobody talks about it enough, just how many things there are that you need to watch out for. And like when you go to college, you're on your own. Like we are very blessed that we got to go to college together, but when you're leaving your parents, you're going to like a different state sometimes, and you're by yourself. Like it's hard to follow, like you want to fit in automatically right off the bat. You want to make friends, you want to fit in, you want to feel welcome, you want to feel like you're a part of something. And so it's so hard for people to stick to their morals and follow the Bible when they just see all this, when they see what other people are doing. When we first got to college, we decided to church hop because Nashville is part of the Bible Belt, and there are so many good churches. So many churches. And we actually joked about it because we were like, oh, we're church hopping instead of party hopping. But we tried in so many different churches, and then we tried so many different small groups to see what was the right fit for us. But sometimes you just have to put yourself out there. You just have to try everything, and you'll know when it's the right place for you to be. And if you don't find it now, then you're supposed to find it later.
But our first church, it was the first Sunday, and my parents were leaving that day, and it was just you and I. We're like, let's just go to Way Church. She had a list from one of her friends, right?
Somebody I met with.
Yeah, somebody you met.
She gave me a list of churches that she recommended, and we were like, let's go to Way Church.
Way Church, yeah.
And we got there,
oh my gosh.
And let me just tell you, like, Ava and I had never before like worshipped with like our hands in the air, like screaming, like crying. Like that had never happened to us ever. That changed our life, going to Way Church that time. And we were like, it was Goodbye Yesterday was playing, and that's like our favorite song now. Go listen to it if you haven't. It's so good.
Like moment just made
it was so good. We were bawling our eyes out, like worshiping, and we'd never been at that church before. We just felt him, and it felt right. And
it did feel right. It felt so right going there.
And we were like, oh, we were planning to church hop, but we love this one so much. I don't think we're going to go to a different one. And then we joined Delight Ministries, and that's like all girls. Just it's like great. We have a great small group. And but we've been still trying new things. Like it's okay to like jump around and try different things. But if you're interested in tuning into more episodes, we're definitely going to talk about relationships, like long distance relationships, being in a relationship in college, how to find friends, maybe how to find the right church for you. What else do they talk about in college? I mean, what else goes on in college? Partying,
like being set apart.
Yeah, being set
and
apart.
Not following
modesty.
Oh, modesty is good.
Just how to evangelize and how to be an ambassador of Christ in college, because it can be scary sometimes to talk about your faith, especially if those around you don't agree with you. You don't want people to not like you, so it can be difficult. We care so much about what other people think, and when you're truly born again, you start to realize that the only person's opinion that matters is God's, and we just want to be pure and blameless before him. So we can't please everybody, especially with this podcast. It's probably not going to please everybody, but we just want to please God. And this is going to be this Boots and Bibles is going to be a series for my podcast. So Ava and I will be on here a lot talking about all the different things. There's so many topics we can cover, but
it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of things to talk about,
and we'll get into some scripture too, and we'll bring in some guests. This segment of the podcast I want to be for younger people, so definitely we'll be bringing in some college friends and other people, even some people that aren't in college we might bring in and see. We're also going to talk about how to eat biblically and how to honor God with your body and treat your body as a temple, especially in college. It's hard in college to make sure you're exercising and eating well, especially with the calf food, and there's just so many things with college that are more difficult. And just talking about being able to have your alone time with God when you have a roommate or when you have an 8 a.m. class,
getting off of that crazy schedule, like
how to have peace and rest in God during college, because it gets really chaotic and you get so busy with your schedule. And we'll also talk about like inviting God into your homework and into your classes. And we'll also talk about like cursing, being content with where you're at and where you are in your journey, and just choosing to be content in every circumstance, being content with the college that you chose. And just every college has some sort of Christian life. There's something that you can find, and if you're not finding friends, then you're not looking in the right places, unless God wants you to be isolated in that point of time. But go to church. Church is where we found so many friends. And it's funny because we hadn't made friends until we were walking outside. It was nighttime. We were walking around campus going for a walk, and there was this group of people and they were worshiping. There were a bunch of kids playing guitar and a bunch of other instruments, and everybody was jumping up and down.
It was like freshmen. The first week of classes, and it was a bunch of freshmen. And they were all jumping,
and we started jumping with them. We were all screaming worship songs, and we were looking around and we were meeting so many people. And then when we walked back, we were like, oh my gosh, like now we have so many friends. Like,
and then we invited a group to church, to Way Church. And then got coffee after.
And it was so nice.
We're still friends with them.
And it was like right after we were like, okay, God, we're done looking. Like we're not gonna look anymore. We're not gonna like freak out about this. We're going to give it to you. And so many things with college, especially, like that you have to surrender to the Lord, because things aren't going to go your way. You're not going to like a teacher. You're not going to like a class.
You're not going to like the homework load.
You're not going to like the homework load. You're not going to like the calf food. You're not going to feel like you fit in. That's all normal stuff. And it's just so important to keep your faith during this time, and to find a good community that lifts you up and is there for you. Like, it's so important to have like a friendship like this, because we hold each other accountable. We call each other out. You don't want someone who's just gonna be like, okay, like
that's fine,
you sinned, it's okay. Like, I'm so happy that I got to have Ava on my podcast today. And this was so much fun. We didn't plan anything we were gonna talk about. We were like, Lord,
we were gonna do this
speak through
tomorrow.
Like, So, and I'm even sick, so I wasn't gonna record it all, but I'm so glad that we did it. And
me too.
Hopefully you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much.
But thank you for listening to this episode of At the Barn, Boots and Bible segment. And Jesus loves you, and so do I.